Hi, welcome to River Reflections. This program is brought to you by Grand Rapids River of Life Ministries. You just saw our church on the video. My husband Robert and I are the co-pastors, co-founders. We started in January of 1980, and God has been good to us. We look back over the years and see He's done miracle after miracle to bring us from point A to where we're at right now, just through His grace, His mercy, His favor. And if you're looking for a church home and you come and visit us, hopefully it's a place you think you can make a home too. But check us out before you make a decision so that you can see whether or not River of Life might not be the place where you'd like to settle in, get to know people, get to be known, use your gifts and talents to the honor and glory of God. We'd love to see you. Let us know you saw us on this program. Every now and then I'll be going to local restaurants or grocery store, and some of you will tell me that you see this program, and I appreciate that very much. It's encouraging. We also put it on YouTube. There's a River Reflections place on YouTube where we put these programs up on it. I told our staff just now, our wonderful, faithful staff, I said the TV station just emailed me and congratulated us on 20 years of programming with them. It's been a long time. They said other than the City Council, Wyoming City Council, we are the longest running program. So that's a blessing to us. Matter of fact, I might as well, before I start my teaching, I'll toss in this fact. I think it'd be cool if most every pastor or person with even a parachurch ministry that just loves the Lord and has a passion for teaching or interviewing or showcasing people's gifts and talents given to them by God. You know, you come here. If you're a Grand Rapids resident, we show there too. You go to Grand Rapids on Bridge Street Library, or if you're a Wyoming Kentwood person, you can come here to the Wyoming station on Clyde Park just north of 44th, and they'll put you through training for the control room and let you get on and share your ministry, and it's really a huge privilege. The studio is so adorable and lots of equipment, so I want to encourage you to do that. It'd be a good even ministry for your young people if they're looking to learn how to use TV equipment. That would be a really cool thing for them to do. It's really fun. And then we all go out to eat afterwards, and we kind of made a little TV 25 clique here, and a little family that evolved over months and years of faithful staff members. So I just want to say a shout out to Wyoming for having this and going through all the work of keeping it going, them and the board. It's just really a blessing to us, and I'm sure to the community too. Tonight, my teaching and the program that'll come on next week as well is on anger management. And I told my husband on the way, he asked me, what are you teaching on? He took me here tonight. And I said, anger, starting with me. And if I'm going through it, I suspect a lot of Christians are going through. Sometimes we get wound up and find ourselves getting angry at stuff, just angry. And I'm going to tell you in a minute some of the synonyms, I said it, synonyms for anger. But let me tell you some of the, as I'm getting, well, God's put me in check because He dealt with me now, and I wept before Him and told Him how sorry I am and asked Him to help me with it. But I was getting just tighter and tighter and mad quicker and quicker. Now, one reason is I've been in some physical pain. I won't dwell on that, but those of you that share that fact that you are in a lot of reoccurring physical pain, sometimes your nerves jump all around inside of you in ways that aggravates anger issues. And it's a reason. My husband always tries to get me to be more empathic with people's shortcomings, telling me the reasons for that particular shortcoming. As Christians, it doesn't give us excuse, but at least it helps us understand each other better if our anger or emotional issues are birthed out of pain or crisis or whatever. But I believe as I give this to God, and you do too, that He can calm us way down and give us brand new mercy and fresh new beginnings. I'm going to share with you some of the things that have elicited anger in me beyond what should be there. When I'm riding down the road and the street signs are not smart, I get mad. I had a whole spiel from my husband on the way here about how they shouldn't have the same yellow strip under the exit signs that both says exit 20 miles an hour, or another one might say exit only. They shouldn't look alike. They should use like blue for the mile thing and yellow for the exit only, especially if you're a guest in a town. I got myself all worked up over this issue of the blatant disregard for visitors in our community, confusing them about exit only and miles per hour signs. I mean, that's when you know your anger is starting to be an issue. I get worked up when I go to a situation, ice cream counter, and there's no system for a line. We're all just gathered in a little heap, and you can hardly keep track of who's first and where are you in line, because there's no line. I get upset. Now, I don't know if other people get upset over such ridiculous things, but I know my anger is starting to get the best of me when the anger arises quickly, and I almost want to tell people how to run their business because their situation is bothering me so bad. That's just a couple of things. Or if I'm supposed to be doing a task and you never tell me exactly how to do it, you never tell me what's a good job, what's a bad job, but then I hear you telling somebody next to me that they did the best job, and I'm like, you never even told me what's the measurement of a good, bad, or a bad job. Just little things like that lately. Or a friend, if I feel like I'm communicating and reaching out, and I'm not getting back a fraction of what I'm pouring out. I know my personality is very expressive, and for years and years I could handle that. And just lately there's been too many, I am tired of this, that's enough of that, which includes bad street signs. Somewhere in Florida, going north from Miami to Fort Lauderdale, there was some stupid sign that said exits all lanes. And I'm with my son, and I'm like, E.G., what in the world does that mean? We're on like a 4 or 5 lane expressway, 95 going north, and it said exits all lanes. And again, my anger, like, what is going on? Do you want to confuse people? And I'm speaking to some invisible traffic rule sign maker out there and getting madder and madder at that person who's responsible for it. It's funny, last night, I think it was, I talked to my son about an entirely different topic, and he said, Mom, they got rid of those exit all lane signs on 95. He heard my little spiel, and he knew I'd be happy about that, but it shouldn't bring that much anger. I'm like, what is wrong with me? And I think it has to do with age too, and I'm going to get into that. You may think it's funny what I'm saying, but I'll tell you, it's not funny to feel it, because anger is physically damaging to our bodies. And if it just starts to rise, if you're offended at so many little things, actually, it's not good for our bodies, and it's not good for relationships. It's just bad. A couple of times in the last few months, I've literally come home and cried in front of my husband and said, I don't like the way I'm feeling and acting right now. Now, there could be a physical reason for it. That could be. But I want to speak to other Christians so that together we like some people say, take a deep breath and move on. I want to overcome this thing. I don't want anybody to say, well, you're 68 years old, wait till you're 80, you'll really be crotchety then. I don't want to, we're supposed to go from glory to glory. We're supposed to be, what does it say, the path of the righteous is as the dawn of day that grows brighter and brighter to the full day. It shouldn't be, we're going up, 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 up in the fruit of the Spirit and in the nature of the Lord, and then all of a sudden we hit a certain pain level or age, and all of a sudden we're just grouchy. That should not be. And I'm like, God, help me. I want to be more and more like you. So I figure if I'm going through some of this, maybe a whole bunch of teenagers have channel surf by now, but I suspect that people that are 50, 60, 70 may have your little ears perked up some like, yeah, you know what? I've gotten a whole lot more opinionated and get offended more easily. And I told my husband, I said, I'm just too dumb smart. You get the dumb smart? And I was thinking about when I knew less, I was nicer. I see too much. I pick up on too much. Well, okay, so then the key is just because you discern more, shouldn't that make us nicer and more praying for people and be better, sweeter, gentler teachers? Should it make us go, what is wrong with these people's brains? What's going on here? I like yelling at the TV. But I'm going to move on. I'm just going to tell you how I got birthed on this little anger kick and crying out to the Lord to help me with, this is not right. I don't want to be like that. I don't want other saints to settle for that either as we get older or in pain or whatever it is that is causing us to feel that nervous jumping inside that just wants to go, ah! You know, we need to just calm down and be at peace in the Lord and with one another. Now, I don't have right now, as far as I can think of, some fight going on with some human being, other than all those invisible, who made this sign and who's in charge of the line here at this store, you know. There's not a specific person. Usually if I'm in a person's space, I can be diffused because then I'm quite conscious of how I might be making that person feel. Other words for anger, because a lot of people are mad, and you go, why are you so angry? And they go, I'm not angry. And they get, bah. So here's some other words in case that one doesn't get it for you. Annoyed. Are you annoyed a lot? Are you vexed, outraged, frustrated, resentful, scornful, displeased, offended, miffed, fuming, sullen, disturbed, boiling, bitter, resentful, upset, irate. I mean, I missed some of these words even. Actually, I was quoting from page 115 from a book. Robert and I went out with this lady the other night, just a few nights ago. But she wrote a book called Judy King called Really Angry. And she gives some keys as to how to overcome anger. One of the first ones being forgiveness, 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 forgiveness. But we were riding to a concert together, and then we took her back home again, and she shared on the way that she used to be a counselor to ministers. And I said to her, it was called Paraclete Ministries. I guess she was one of many helping people. And I said to her, I said, Judy, what was the key issue you found out with pastors that you had to help them with? And she said one of the key issues was anger. And I said, wow, I wonder why was that? I said, because I've been angry with myself for getting angry at a whole series of can't do anything about that anyway, why get all worked up over it kind of things. And I could write a letter, I guess, to the city managers about their traffic stuff. But she said to me, anger comes when we have expectations that are not met. Expectations that are not met. You hear that? Expectations that are not met. She said that's when people deal with anger. And that started something in me after she said that. And I thought about, as a pastor, the expectations that I have for people and how often, well, I've been blessed, but I've been disappointed too. particularly here lately, it's like, why can't people come on time on Saturday morning to church? I understand Wednesday night, they're working, they might trail a little. Saturday morning, and you're not working, we do have a guy or so a couple of people that do work Saturday mornings or real late Friday. I understand that. But if there's no extenuating circumstances, why can't you come on time? And then I thought about that. Here's the expectation. You're not meeting the expectation. And then I have to fight anger like, why can't you? What's wrong? Why can't you? What's wrong? And I get myself worked up. Okay, is the answer for us to lower expectations? I don't think so. I don't think that's the answer. I think the answer is keep the expectation, but release people to the amount of time it takes them to mature, and be kind in the process. Don't let myself get angry because what is a good expectation set in place is not being met. And I realize she's right. A lot of my issues have to do with expectations. I get disgusted with my husband because I've made it clear to him, and just as I'm dealing with this anger, I hope this is helping you to analyze some. Why am I getting angry? Is that necessary? Am I getting too angry? But one of the things that I get discussed with my husband, I have this expectation again in my mind. I'm looking up a verse right now, by the way. It's a verse God gave me this morning when I was dealing with what in the world can I do to do better. But I want, because I have such a hard time keeping my room up, because I both work and sleep in there and clothes, and you know the drill. But in the space on the first floor of our home, the living room, dining room, kitchen, TV room, I want us both to do our best to not lay clothes over chairs or have stuff out of order. That's one place in our home that's in order. That's my expectation. I've made that clear for as long as we've been married, which was just 38 years, that in our mutual living space, let's keep it free of stuff being blatantly out of order. And every time he lays something across something, I'm like, I either go hang it up, or I'm like, why is that right there? And I can't seem to just say, okay, I've worked on this now for 38 years. He's not doing it. He's not mean. He's not terrible. It's just little picky stuff on my behalf. But it's like that expectation I have to let go, or I'm going to keep getting mad. Why am I saying that? Some expectations, like being on time for prayer meeting at church, I think that's a good expectation. My response to the failure or the disappointment needs improvement, but I don't need to lower the expectation. On the other hand, my expectation that my husband keep all that bottom floor area clear and clean and company ready, you know what? I might as well forget about it or just do it myself, because it's not working and it's not worth the nagging, which probably gets on his last nerve. How can we let each other be at peace is that bottom line. Give mutual peace to each other and not get angry when the expectation we set up isn't being met. The Bible says in Proverbs, only through pride comes contention, and pride can involve my way is right, it's the best. You should live up to my way. Now, if my way happens to be identical with God's way, then we're actually both submitting to the Word, and that's fine. But if my way is every dish in place, every pot and pan in place, and the milk products go on the first shelf, the sweets go on the second shelf, the fruits go on the third, in the refrigerator I'm talking, if my way is some regimen, has nothing to do with the Word of God, nothing to do with good or bad, but I'm imposing it on another human being, pride can get involved, and now contention moves in. And if we're not willing to let go of things, that have nothing to do with submitting to the Word of God, then we got a constant low-level quarrel going on. Now, this is a verse God gave me today to help me begin to deal with my own attitude problem. It says in Micah 6:8, and we sing this verse sometime, He has showed thee, O man, what is good, and what doth the Lord require of thee, but to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God. What does the Lord require of you? Okay? So the first thing is you got to do justly. In other words, what's the right or wrong of something? Righteous judgment about something. Yes, this is a good law to keep in effect, and yes, you do have to keep at people to do it. No, you should not get angry if they don't. Just keep encouraging them. This isn't even just. How am I going to get a 73-year-old man to change his ways after 38 years? By the way, he is not by any standard anybody's slob. He's not lazy, none of that. I just get real picky about that particular space because I know how fast space can deteriorate into mess. But is that just? Yeah, not really. We both live in that house. I have to relax some, get off his back, just hang it up myself, clean it up myself, rearrange it myself, get off his back. Do justly. Love mercy. Mercy is loving kindness, warmth, gentleness. Actually, I looked it up. It's favor. It's even pity. Like, oh, wow, he's a guy. Guys don't know any better. What am I going to do? Just let it go. Do the gal thing. Whatever. Mercy is just nice. You're a nice person. You're not picky, angry, demanding, dogmatic. Well, you know, if you are like that, you can get all work yourself up into a tither, be angry, whatever. We cannot go in that direction. We have to watch that. And walk humbly with our God. That's lowly. And you know what? Some verses in the Word, and right now, I don't have the verse reference instead of me, but there's a thing like forgiving one another as Christ has forgiven us. And when I think of how bad I have been in my life and how much I've been forgiven, then in contrast, for somebody to hang their coat on the back of a living room chair is so petty and so picky, and to get upset and nagging over that is ridiculous, is the opposite of humility. I'm acting like I am perfect, and I am not, and it must be terribly hard to live with, and I'm sorry. I was the recipient of that years ago. I was living with somebody, and they were even worse than me. We had a deal that I was working outside the home. She wasn't at the time. And so I was paying her to take care of my child. And I was buying groceries. And she was doing all the housework, all the dishes and all that. And one day I decided to be nice to her and do the dishes. And instead of saying thanks for doing my job, she said, if you're going to do the dishes, wipe off behind the faucet. You left it all wet and it wasn't clean. And I'm thinking, if somebody did dishes for me, I would have not said a word other than thank you and quietly finished up. Well, why am I not the same way now in my home? Why do I get upset over some little thing I could just do myself and be grateful for all the wonderful things He does? I'm talking about anger tonight. I'm talking about putting high expectations on people, expectations that are sometimes out of order, and then analyzing what expectations are in order, but at the same time, if somebody doesn't meet them, how to give them a pass and say, that's okay. That's okay, just we'll be at peace over this. But I'm not lowering the expectation, but nor am I going to try to find some way to make you do it. That's between you and God. That verse I was talking about, only with pride comes contention, that, by the way, is in Proverbs 13, verse 10. Pride, I looked up in the dictionary, and it said a feeling that you respect yourself and deserve to be respected by others. You know, that particular definition, I don't see a whole lot of sin in that I would love myself and expect others to love me as they love themselves, and I do them the same. Respect, honor. Okay, I don't have a big problem with that definition, but the second one, of feeling you're more important or better than other people. So then it's my way or the highway. My standards are better than yours, and I will disdain you and look down at you if you don't live up to my standards, my expectations. That's where we get in trouble. And you know, people get wounded. In this book, I have other verses I'm going to share with you in this next program. And right now, I am trying to find, okay, I found it. I turned to it. Thank God. I wanted to share with you. And actually, my friend Judy King, in this particular page, on page 57 of her really angry book that is published by Sun Life, if you want to go online and order it or something, it's published by Sun Life Associates in Knoxville, Tennessee. Anyway, this guy she quotes, Bill Wilson, a doctor, writes, "No emotion is more destructive to human relationships than anger. It's a small wonder that Jesus made teaching about its control an important part of his ministry. He made the points anyone who angry at his brother is subject to judgment, Matthew 5:22, that if people were angry with us, we should be reconciled immediately, verse 23 of Matthew 5. We're to love our enemies, verse 24, because they are persons with whom we're angry. We should not carry anger in our hearts. To love them, we have to forgive them. This is the means by which we get rid of our anger. Forgive, forgive, forgive. People don't live up to our expectations. We let it go. We forgive as we've been forgiven." Hopefully this has been helpful to you. I know it's real basic and real practical, but like this guy is saying, and I agree, anger is destructive, and I'm sure it's not fun for people to be in our space even when we're angry at things that don't have anything to do with them, just to express it is uncomfortable. I pray in Jesus' name we all, as Christians, learn to totally overcome anger. Thanks for listening.